Hi, it's me again with Corel Tips and Tricks, and this is part two of this medallion. And if you remember, I've nudged everything, so I haven't, I'm able to go back and forth. Matter of fact, I think I must have copied some of this stuff twice. I'm going to go and get rid of it. And that's a big thing when you're trying to do something like this. So we need this right side circle. So I'm going to smart fill this circle in and move it over, but it's a terrible circle. So let's just nudge it over and let's look to see what size that circle is. It's 2 inches basically. So let's draw an ellipse that's 2 inches. And I've got my lock so I can make it whatever size I want now, get it close to that size and make it black. That's too thick. I'm working in inches again. I normally work in points. Let's go a little bit more than that's good enough. Now I'm going to make it black. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to set that circle right in the center and it almost snaps to it. And then I can nudge it back. And now I have a perfect circle. That's going to be a big deal to make it look quite a bit better. If you look at this, you'd have to clean that up. You've got a clean, sharp, and I just read his email. He's doing this on, I'm hoping, wood pistol grips. Um, I would not attempt this on a pistol itself or, an expensive gun. Um, What else do we have left to do? Well, we need to put in the 1819. That's easy. And we need to put in the sun rays and just kind of look at it closer. It's pretty good. I would maybe see what the sun looks like. And I must have, so in this case, the circle is going to cause us trouble. So let's go to object and lock the circle. Now we can grab the other parts. The circles, I could have put it in a different layer, but it's just better to do it this way. Now at this time, I'd also suggest, why is it not letting me grab anything? Oh, I've got it locked. Um, I guess I got that locked. I don't have that locked. Oh, there we go. Maybe that's all part of that. Because I would actually redo that whole thing right there, or at least make it sharper. Because that's a pretty big factor. You could do that kind of the same way um, see there's like a double line there. I would actually probably, well, that's part of I guess that's part of the mountain. So I would just keep deleting those nodes until it goes away. And what would be smarter is back up one more, take these two and right click, turn them into a line, and then they're gone. And then, but I would seriously think about, and I'm not going to do this whole thing for this gentleman, but I would definitely clean up this lineage here or start with a new one. That'd be pretty easy to draw. It's not really too bad. Like right in there from a distance, it looks really rough. So you could clean that up and, maybe take out some nodes. But my main concern on this is the rays of the sun. And it would be really helpful if we could kind of find out the center of this circle. So what we could do is maybe draw a 2-point line from about there and go up the mountain. And thankfully I draw in red and go up the mountain. And maybe those are now connected. And maybe just kind of move them over a little bit. And maybe take the shape tool and bring that one, because the rays are between the mountains. So we're going to call this a center. So we're going to let's draw an ellipse. And I'm going without working with what the original looks like. See the rays are off the sun. And then I'm going to use that circle as my new center. So I can take a 2-point line now. And I'm going to go right down the middle till I hit that Other part, I need to take my shape tool and grab them both and put that line right on there. And then I'm gonna double click on it and I'm gonna rotate it from there. I don't know how many rays there are, but if you're doing this for yourself, you'd wanna count those rays. Double click on them and rotate it. Well, let's make a duplicate. Control D. In this case, Control D does help you. And in this case, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to call it 5 degrees. And then Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D. That's pretty cool. Now, Control D, -5 degrees. Control D. And if I'm not perfect on the count, you can shoot me. Whoop. So what we're going to have to do, probably the easiest thing to do, would be to try to grab all these lines, and I'm going to nudge them down, nudge our circle down, and this way we can clean them up. So I'm going to take my virtual segment delete key and go right through there, and then actually just take away our circle. And at this time, I'm going to take away our leading edge, that part and that part. And then I'm going to make them black right now, but I don't know how thickness. So I'm going to nudge them back. You just need to make sure they're bigger than a hairline so will engrave. And let's make them, they are a hairline. Let's make them, let's see what that looks like. Whoop, too much. It's hard to tell when you're drawing so little. Now, that's not perfect and they're too close together, but you get the idea how to do it, kind of. And then just take your Smart Fill tool and fill that back in with black, fill that back in with black. And that's pretty good. Now, you just need to think about how we can unlock this now. Go to lock and unlock. And you need to find out, so that's that circle. Let's Control D and make a duplicate. While holding down the Shift key, let that grow. Now let's nudge that over and just see if we're close. We're pretty close. So let's hold down the Shift key, let it come in from the inside, and then nudge it over. That's pretty good. And now you got plenty of room to write Old Guard, Norwich University. Let's just do the real quick. All caps, Norwich, maybe a double space, University. Now let's go ahead and do them. Let's make them the same as the other part. And you would want to maybe look for a better font. I'm just going to go with Times New Roman. That is pretty close if you really look at it. It's a little bit different. The R's got a curve. And then you need to really kind of figure out if it's going to fit there. Now at this time, I would move that circle out of the way and text the curve. I think we're going to be too big. Make it a little bit smaller. Text the path, put it on that path. Yeah, we're a little bit too big, but maybe not. What we can do is grab them both, nudge it over, and you can see the text is just a little bit, not really too big. Let's see if we can't change it to 22 points. Yep, that worked. But we're too far off the other line, so we can go right there. But when you do that, it rotates funny. So you need to rotate it back. And this is where I would use indexing lines to get them pretty close. And you might have to put something in between and then nudge that over. So our text is still not quite there. So let's go down a little bit lower. And then when you do that, you've got to do that, play with this part. And we're still a little bit off. So when you do this, let's see how much it moves. It moves quite a bit. So you might have to type in a number that you want the distance from the path. Let's go, it's 0.025. Let's go 0.027. Well, that's actually rotating it. It shouldn't really rotate it when you do this. Well, but it does. Yeah, it does. It does rotate it too. So now let's go 0.03. Now we're still a little bit off the distance between the two spaces. And then you could just keep playing with this 0.04. Let's go 0.05 and then call it a day, because then we're going to have to rotate it back the other way. That looks pretty good. And if you look at your indexing lines, it's kind of hard between the tail of the end and the Y. And just do the same thing for Old Guard, and 1819 has a little bit of path. The only thing we haven't done is basically some leaves, and just take our Smart Fill tool and see if that doesn't work. And then move those over, correct those a little bit. And I would, before I would do anything with this, I would test it on wood, just kind of see what the eagle looks like, you know, before you put on a gun. But like I said in the very beginning, there are people out there on the internet, on Facebook, that could make this look fantastic for like $15, if you really need it. I truly hope that helped a little bit. Thank you for watching.